Okay, we welcome on a very special guest to the Kyle Lab Pod, current nose tackle for the Memphis Showboats in the UFL, former defensive lineman for the Texas A&M football team, fifth-round NFL draft pick to the Baltimore Ravens in 2019. He was one of our favorite players during our time in college and a certified unit. It's Daylon Mack. Daylon, we're hyped to have you on the pod. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Glad to be here.
Let's go, Mac Truck. Good to see you, bro. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Dope. Cool. We just wanted to jump in. I know we talked about this earlier, but you're living your best life in San Diego now. Just tell for the listeners, for the people in Texas who have never been to California, how does it compare to Bryan College Station, dude? Do you miss College Station compared to San Diego? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I miss Texas in general. I went out to like a barbecue spot and I was like, so I didn't even tweet about it. I was so like amazed. I asked them like, I wanted the brisket and they're like, oh, we don't have brisket here. We have like tri-tip, I guess is what they call it. Oh, and I was like, what's that? And they're like, oh, it's kind of like brisket. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll try it out. California has their own thing, kind of like brisket. Cool. And then, I tell them like, yeah, she was like, what two sides do you want? And I'm like, yeah, I'll take like some macaroni. Like, oh, we don't serve macaroni. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Like, is this even a barbecue spot? Like, but yeah, I miss a lot of stuff about College Station just because like, the small town vibe it kind of had, everything was like, just felt like really local and like close. It's crazy because like A&M is like such a big university, but like, like the university really has like this small town vibe. So it's like, it was a great mix for me. I really enjoyed my 4 years there, so definitely miss it. Probably going to be back for the Texas game, so can't miss that. Yeah,
let's go.
We were going to talk about that a little bit later, but that's good to know. And I got to say, like, I was pushing back on Billy. I visited him in San Diego for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and I'm sorry to say it is a better place than College Station.
yeah.
Dude, I'll put you on. I used to have a good barbecue spot. It literally burned down. RIP, but I'll put you on a new one. I think I may have one for you.
Okay.
I got you, bro.
And is brisket what you think of like off the rip when it comes to barbecue? Is like
oh yeah, 1,000%. I was staying in Prosper before I moved out here to California, and there was this place called Hutchins that was like pretty like stellar. I took my wife there and she loved it. She was addicted, and we started going like probably like 2 or 3 times a month. I mean, it was great. Every time someone like recommends barbecue, wants to know like what I recommend for barbecue in Texas, I always bring up Hutchins because I think they have the best brisket I've ever had. So,
damn, that's a big announcement, man. That's we love that.
Yeah,
we gotta try it out.
Yeah, it's nice. It's definitely nice.
We've heard some stories from a few skilled players about the infamous 7-OT LSU game. Just from your perspective of a big man, how did that go for you?
I'm still tired from that game. What's funny? And I think a lot of other players, like Kingsley, Otaro, Tyrell, we've never watched that game. Like, well, we only watch like when they say Kellen's knee is down, and then after that we just stop like watching, like because after that it just gets crazy. I remember like my rush of emotions that I had. Like I was so pissed, like I was so fucking mad. Like on the sideline, like I was like, man, I can't believe that we just lost to LSU again. Like I can't believe I came here and we never beat LSU. And Donovan was like, man, keep y'all head up, we good. And then all of a sudden, Kellen throws his touchdown to Courtney. And I'm like, oh my God. It's like this senior night. It was crazy because like I was having like an insane game. I had like 2 sacks. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, like we're really not about to beat LSU. And that was not I guess that was one of their, probably the best LSU team we played since we've been in the SEC because they were like 11.
I'm going to say 2019 was better, but outside of that.
Yeah. 2019 was definitely better. Up until that point, they were undoubtedly probably the best one we played. Because they definitely had the best record. I think they had like 10 wins at the time or something like that. Mm-hmm. They were on their way to the Sugar Bowl, and very, very strong team. Very, very strong team. But, I just remember Jimbo telling us before we took the field, he was like, guys, we got the better football team. And it's always something about when your coach tells you that, going in, because it's always like, hey, guys, let's go out there, do our job, make sure we execute. But I mean, he just straight up said, hey, I think we got the better football team. And we went out there and, man, the rest is history. It was definitely a night to remember for sure.
So
And
I try to ask everybody this. We talked to Jay Sternberger about this a little bit, but like by the end of the game, because obviously this was the game that changed the college overtime rules, did it feel like unsafe by the 7th overtime when guys are running around gassed and like we can't even tackle anymore?
Yeah, it was, it definitely felt unsafe. But I don't think I could really feel it in the moment because I mean it's senior night, adrenaline's going. I played every snap of that overtime. Because it was my senior night. It was the last time I was going to play on Kyle Field. So I was like, I'm not coming out of the game. What? Like, that's crazy. I think I came out one play, which actually was the play that we ended up winning it on. They put Jaden Peavy in for me, and he knocked the ball down. He got like a batted ball and ended up being a real the game-winning play for us. But yeah, I definitely did not want to come out of the game. Looking back, yeah, I think my snap count might have been like, I think I might have got up to like 100 snaps in that game. It was like 3 or 4 games worth of snaps for sure. And like we were so lucky that after that, like we had like the bowl game break, because I don't know how we could have just played next week. That would have been insane.
Yeah, it's week 4 and you got the whole SEC slate after that.
Yeah, that would have been crazy.
One question I've always wanted to ask, and it hasn't happened obviously that many times at Kyle Field. What is it like as a player when the fans rush the field at Kyle Field? Like, is everyone just surrounding you? Like, are you able to get to your teammates? How do you even get out of that whole scenario? It just sounds crazy to me.
Yeah, it was. Man, that whole night seems like a blur. I actually forgot. Like, yeah, they did rush the field after that game. Yeah, it was tough. All I remember is Eric McCoy was laying on the ground, just on his back, and like all the students were kind of just standing around him, looking. I'm like, is he okay? He was my roommate at the time. It was just crazy. I was trying to soak it all in. Want to stay on the field as long as possible, just because I mean it's my last time walking off the field, so I was trying to stay out there as long as possible. And then the really cool thing was somehow my mom ended up on the field, and she found me. So she was able to walk me off the field for my last time, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of students running up to you, taking pictures and stuff. It's really, really cool.
That's the Aggie dream right there, man. That's awesome.
Congrats,
honestly, on just that moment. It's just incredible. That's really
cool. Yeah. It was very nice to remember for sure. Sure.
Shout out Jaden Peavy, who just brought him up. He got a sack with the Panthers this week.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I'm a big Panthers fan. These guys give me crap for it, but what a hell of a Sunday for me.
Yeah.
So, was that like? Would you classify the LSU game as your favorite moment or game as an Aggie, or was there another one?
Oh yeah. That definitely was like the icing on the cake. I mean, for it to be senior night, last game at Kyle Field, I think that was the first time our fans got to rush the field for the new stadium. So yeah, I mean, beating LSU for the first time since we're in the SEC. I had the most sacks I've ever had in my career, like in that game specifically. So it was really cool. That's definitely a highlight.
Most sacks on Joe Burrow. That's awesome. So I'll bring you back to my favorite play of yours, which was at Kyle Field against Nevada, where you just peered through the offensive line and took the running back's head off before he could even get the handoff. It kind of looked like the Jadeveon Clowney play against Michigan. So I feel like you, throughout your time in College Station, I always noticed something about you is that you would always jump the snap. Like you had a really good sense of like what the snap count was or when the ball was going to get snapped. Did you practice that, or was like that intuitive for you?
I did. I did. It was a thing that I got like really good at. And a lot of times when I would like study teams, I would kind of like study like their cadences, like when they snap the ball, things like that. Which is really crazy because like when you look at like my freshman year, I was exposed to getting in the back from all that stuff. In my sophomore and junior year, like where that stuff was not happening. I know a lot of fans were like kind of wondering like, yo, what happened to Daylon? And it was really because like the play style with which like, because I had a new coach. I had 3 different D-line coaches at my 4 years at A&M. So it's like a different play style that they wanted me to play with. They wanted me to play more lateral. So it kind of like messed me up. Just the way that I had viewed how to play the game. And it's really funny because I play like more lateral now. So like I actually mastered it like later in my career.
Yeah.
And got really good at it. But in the early part of my career, like I was like a penetrator, get up the field, 3-tech. So I just kind of wish that, like, just looking back, that's probably one of the biggest regrets I have is like kind of just fighting with the coach, like, hey, coach, because he was trying to change my style to the style that I play with now. And I was like, hey, coach, like, I just came in and had 10 TFLs as a freshman. I'm busting to the backfield, tackling quarterbacks and running backs at the same time. And you're trying to tell me that I need to change stuff. And also like, scouts are coming up and telling me like, hey, the Packers told me at that point, it's like, hey, we have you on our first, like, we want to draft you in our first round. Like the mock drafts and stuff are coming out. All the stuff that they say you're not supposed to fucking look at. I'm I'm looking at them, but I mean, I'm hearing this directly from like a scout and a coach at the Packers. So I'm thinking, okay, just keep doing what I'm doing. And, this new guy comes in trying to mess all that up. So it was, it was very tough at the time. But then my senior year, I guess I like mastered it apparently, and then I went back to like doing all this stuff, and it was it's just very, very weird, very weird. And that like that's the stuff that I had to answer. When I went to the combine, when the teams would bring me into the room, like they were asking me like, all right, fantastic freshman year, fantastic senior year. What the hell happens your sophomore and junior year? So like the Cowboys are asking me that. The Titans are asking me that. The 49ers like, hey, yo, what the hell happened? Packers asking like, hey, you are our guy. And then and so had to give them the rundown on that. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
Damn. That's good. It's good. It's really cool to get like the insight behind the scenes of like what goes into, because we see the end product, but you don't see all the like technique and coaching and like not only that, but like the style of play truly of like how you fit the scheme and the team as well.
Well, one question, because we have a very good friend that comes on the podcast pretty frequently who coached you at Texas A&M. His name is Cleet Norton. Do you know Cleet Norton?
Yeah.
He's like the dude in the blue polo. Yeah, I think I've seen him before.
Yeah, Cleet's a good dude.
So was Cleet the one who ruined your whole trajectory? Like,
no, Cleet, no, it definitely wasn't him. It definitely wasn't him. Yeah. Does he still do the signals?
So he went to Duke with Elko, and then he ended up deciding to go in another direction. So now he's just a full-time podcaster with us.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's crazy. He was really good at that. Like he like the signals and stuff. Like he'd be so like discreet, because it's crazy. Like I guess I can't really tell you like how they do it, but there's three different people giving the signals out, and one of them is like the real person, and the other one is like the other two are like just like doing like the dummy signals, and his dummy signals were always like funny. So it'd be like it'd be like like everything would be similar, and then it'd be like one difference, and then you'd have to like find out what the difference is. And it's just always like his was always like, okay, that can't be like the correct answer. Like when you got like multiple choice, and then there's like this wild answer that you're like, okay, like I'm just gonna X that one out. Like, yeah, he was definitely the wild choice.
Doing bear crawls on the sideline, shit.
Yeah. No, the Connor Stallions from Michigan put him out of business. That's the story officially. I want to go back to your high school recruiting, because obviously you came in #1 player in Texas, a big win for Jimbo and the team. Yeah. I'm just curious, and don't say anything about A&M, but just outside of that, what was maybe the craziest thing you were offered? Because obviously there are plenty of offers. What was the craziest part? Because this is all pre-NIL. What was the craziest thing you were offered as part of that process?
Craziest thing.
Or even just like what that process was like in general.
Oh, the process was crazy. But the funny thing is like with this NIL stuff, right? The going rate has always been the same going rate. It's just public now. So like all these recruits thinking that they got it so big and like, oh, I'm playing for this much and this and that is like, Well, actually, this was always the case. The general public just knows what the actual number is. Like this, it always worked like that. So a lot of people think like, oh man, do you wish that like you were part of the NIL? And I'm just like, I don't think I missed too much. I don't think I missed out on too much. Yeah. So you got like what, like me, Kyler, we were coming at the same time, and I mean, we were roommates freshman year, so like we were pretty good. We were a package deal too, right? So like, we were fine. We were fine. The going rate it's always been, and I actually talked about this with Coach Turner, Jim Turner, because he was the O-line coach at the Showboats, and he was like, "What do you think about this all NIL stuff?" And I was like, "Man, look, it's always been like this. It's just it's just public now." So, and it's crazy. I do think that it is. Like, a lot of people think it's bad for college football, but I think it's smart. I think it's smart just because of the simple fact that like when you get into like the NFL, a lot of people make like those. I mean, that's the point to like where you get all that money for the first time and stuff like that. A lot of people like make bad decisions because they've never seen that much money before. And you can say this, it's the same case for like when you're 18, but like the world is kind of more lenient on you making mistakes with all that money as an 18-year-old. Whereas like when you get to the NFL and you make that same mistake as a 22-year-old, they're like, oh, they're way more heavy-handed with the punishment and stuff like that. So I do think it's good for college football. I mean, like the players got to get compensated somehow. Like, they're the biggest draw, especially like football wise, right? Like, I mean, football is like every school's like big, that's where the majority of the money's coming from. So I do think it's a good thing, but yeah, like the going rate has always been the same. It's always been the same.
Wait, so you touched on one thing that brought up some trauma for the group here.
Oh,
Kyler.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Just high level.
Mm-hmm.
If he knew Kyle Allen was leaving, would he have stayed?
Well, but he did. Like that.
Oh,
that's,
he knew? Okay.
Yeah. So I
told myself he knew that he didn't know.
Yeah. So I can give you the rundown on like actually like what happened, right? So, Kyle. So the Alabama game, right? Kyle Allen throws 3 pick sixes, which is like some shit you can't even do on Madden. Like like that's just so insane because we lost the game by like I think like what was like a touchdown or something, like 10 points. Something like that.
It was kind of
like we could have won. Like we could have won that game. So he throws 3 pick sixes. He throws 2 pick sixes, and they put Kyler in, right? So Kyler gets in the game, he's going whatever, and then Kyler throws a pick, right? They take Kyler out the game and put Kyle back in. Kyle throws another pick 6. They go back to Kyler. Kyler tells Spav, he says, "Fuck you, I don't want to play for you." So after that, like we get back to the room, right? I'm chilling with Kyler, and then no one knew that at the time. So like I come, I'm in chilling in the room or whatever, and Kyler comes in and he's like, "Hey, you hear what happened?" And I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "Yeah, I told Fab, fuck you, I don't want to play for you." I was like, "Oh man, okay." So and this is my boy, right? I'm like, "Oh, that's bad." And so he was telling me, I was like, "Well, why?" He was like, "Because Kyle shit the bed, and I'm supposed to come in and be able to finish the game. Like he shit the bed." And I'm like, that is fair. Like I think, and I always thought like Kyler was the better player. I thought it was him. He was basically a Johnny clone. He proved that at Oklahoma. Like, I always, it was him for sure. So it kind of goes down that route. And the Ole Miss game, right? Everyone's like, dude, did Kyler lose a bet? Like, why is he not getting the game? Because remember, Kyle went like 3 for 24. And they're like, dude, what does Kyler have to do to get in the game? Well, I mean, he was on punishment. So that's why he's not in the game. Damn. So the next week after that, we play South Carolina. It's Halloween, making your first start on Halloween in some new jerseys is kind of lit. So he balled out, I balled out. We had a pretty good night.
Those the blackout, the glow in the dark jerseys, those ones?
Yeah. Okay. So he balls out there. But what everyone doesn't know is the main reason they pulled Kyle Allen was because Kyle was actually hurt. He got hurt in the Alabama game. And that's why he went 3 for 24 against Ole Miss. So Kyler balled out against South Carolina. He had like 200 yards passing, 100 rushing. I mean, he killed them, right? The next game was against I'm not really sure who it's against. I think it's like a FCS team, or whatever. He beat the hell out of them. And the next game is Auburn. Kyler gets hurt going for the goal line or something like that, and they put Kyle Allen back in. And at this point, it's already kind of leaked that like, oh, Kyle was just hurt, or maybe he leaked it himself. I don't know, because he was mad. Everyone thought he just like lost his job, right? So Kyle Allen comes in and he's like balling out and doing better. And I still remember, I don't know who tweeted it out, but I remember seeing someone like, oh my God, we just started Kyler Murray over a healthy Kyle Allen. And so they go back to Kyle Allen and let him finish the season out. It's like very bad, right? Like he's completely like ruined the situation. So Kyler is pissed or whatever. The season finishes, and Kyle Allen announces his transfer first, right? And so he's leaving or whatever, and then Coach Sumlin's deal was like, okay, Kyler, well, you're the starting quarterback now. And Kyler's like, no, I don't want like a handout now that you don't try to put me in now because he's leaving. Damn. So now I'm also going to leave. And I'll never forget, he told me, we were just sitting in the living room chilling. He's like, and it was me, him, and his dad. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm out of here. And I was like, man, you're lying. You're not leaving. And then his dad's on the phone with somebody, and he's like telling Kyler, like, yeah, you can do this, and that. You can enroll in Norman in like December, January, something like that. And I'm like, we're going to Oklahoma? He's like, yeah. So it was definitely wow. It was weird, yeah, because like he was like moving out, back in this stuff, and like people were kind of just like looking around and like taking photos and stuff like that. Like I'm like, wow, this is awkward. So yeah, he left. Yeah, and the rest is history. I mean, when people talk about how that situation got ruined, like it literally got ruined. Like it got ruined very bad.
Worse than what we thought it was. So like in the locker room, was there a big split between guys who were like behind Kyle versus Kyler, or was everyone kind of like just pissed at the coaches because they wouldn't play Kyler? What was the vibe?
It was weird. Like, I think the guy that was probably the most conflicted was probably Christian Kirk, because I mean, Kyle Allen is his best friend, and Kyler's also like his best friend, and they're both his, they're his quarterback. So like it was, I mean, it's tough, right? Like, you got your best friend, your two best friends fighting for a starting job, and there can only be one, right? And it always sucks when the guy is like younger than the other guy, because it's like, okay, well, Kyler has 3 more years minimum, and Kyle like is just getting started. So like, is Kyler really going to sit on the bench for 2 more years? Which ended up happening anyway, crazy enough. But yeah, I mean that situation it was bad. I mean it was very bad. Like as much as people talked about how bad it was online, it was just even worse to just like witness there, because it's like, okay, like they're both of them have egos, so they're both like thinking that they're the best player. And the crazy thing is like they're both really good. So like it actually probably was like tough for Coach Sumlin to pick one, but you got to pick one. And then at the end of the day, they were just very unfair to Kyler. Like you just can't do it that way. You got to understand like where Kyler's coming from. I mean, that's kind of how his high school career went. Remember, like he wasn't the starting quarterback full time at Allen until like game 6. And I'm thinking he's probably thinking that's kind of how the process is going to go again. Only it didn't. They just kind of reverted back, and he's like, well, I don't want to deal with this. And then he went and had to sit behind Baker for 2 years, and it's like, it's tough. But yeah, it was a tough situation to manage for sure.
Yeah, I saw Kyler up close when I was a senior in high school. My high school went to the state championship game. Kyler's a sophomore. Mm. Yeah, they had like 2 like 80-yard touchdowns. I was just like, dude, this kid is like, you can't do anything about that. That's just crazy. We had college, we had some NFL talent on the team. It was like, yeah, he destroyed us.
It was always funny like coming out of high school, because like obviously I was happy to be like the number 1 player in the state of Texas. Like it's big deal, because Texas is like, I mean, I'm talking to my wife out here, and I'm like, yeah, if our son plays in California, it's going to be easy, because Texas was like the place where you play football at. But yeah, like I always thought Kyler, like, I mean, generational. Like I really thought that he was like the number 1 player in like the country. So, it's really it's really wild that it had to go down like that, because I did think he was our quarterback of the future. But we just had a lot of stuff we had to figure out. And it's funny because it felt like we just like traded, like we gave Kyler to Oklahoma, and then Trevor came to play for us. So it kind of felt like we did like a free agency deal, and we just like swapped QBs. So.
Well, so both of them ended up being like pretty successful in the NFL. Obviously, Kyler is starting quarterback, but I mean, Kyle Allen's hung around for a long time too. It's just kind of crazy to us, and it's always been crazy to us that the coaching staff never got the best out of those guys in College Station, and that was part of why there was a coaching change. But I think,
it was. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I think Tom Ag has a question about the coaches.
Yeah, it was more about, I mean, the coaching change. So you played for Sumlin, Chavis, and then Jimbo Elko. Mm-hmm. What were the differences? And then also, I'm also down to place all the blame on Spavital. That guy was the worst.
I don't even know if Spav is like too much to blame with like how that situation got handled. But just going from like Coach Sumlin, I think obviously so like this is when I kind of knew that like, okay, this might be the end, right? In 2016, that is probably the most talented team I've ever been a part of. Like when you go back and look at it, it's like me, Kingsley, Deshaun, Miles, Zakoven. Our secondary was like J.Ev, Armani, Dono, like everybody got Tyrell, like everybody got drafted or went to go play in the NFL. Otaro, like everyone went to go play NFL, like in the NFL. So I mean, and then you go look at our offensive line, like Eric McCoy, best center, like probably in the league right now. Trevor was like, one of the top rated quarterbacks. We had C. Kirk, we had Josh Reynolds. I mean, we had like people. We won 8 games. That's like that's crazy. We won 8 games, and we had like, I mean, NFL level talent at like every spot on every spot that you want. You want to have NFL talent. I mean, we were loaded. Like it's really crazy. And so, only winning 8 games that year is like, dude, like that's insane.
Yeah.
And then
it's crazy that y'all feel the same way as we did as fans about that team. It's like, we have so much here. What's happening? Like, why can't we get the best out of it?
Yeah, and that team was like that is the most talented team like I've ever been a part of. And that's only winning 8 games. And then the following year, right, like you can kind of see like, people were starting to get blamed. The coaching changes, like, I mean, we got rid of Coach Jackson, right? Like, her strength and conditioning coach. Like, I don't really think he was the issue. I kind of thought, like, I mean, I thought we were, like, not being in shape or whatever, like, that wasn't a factor. Like, we felt like we were fresh against every other team. We just, like, weren't winning. And for whatever reason, right, we weren't winning games.
We'll talk about that a little bit because, like, I think it's for the listeners. It's easy to be like, okay, we play our schedule, but talk about what like the grind, at least in like 2015, right? What the grind of playing in the SEC is like, right? Where you hit Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Auburn, like all those games, Alabama, obviously, right? All those games back to back to back. Like, how much of a different toll do you feel like that takes on you versus like maybe a Big 12, Pac-12 schedule, something like that?
Yeah, it takes a toll. I do think that like the toll is like, I don't know. I think it's like kind of overrated, like of how much like it wears on your body. Like, I mean, at the end of the year, like everybody's banged up, and to say that like, oh, because they playing like in the Big 12 or in the Big 10 that they're not like as banged up as us, I think that's like kind of crazy because like the game is physical, right? And you're either banged up or you're exhausted. Like it's I think that the issue is like every team is good. So like finishing the season like undefeated is what everyone's trying to do, because at the time it was like, okay, like only the top 4 teams or whatever. And it's always a conference championship, right? So like everyone's trying to beat Alabama. And when you're doing that, it's like Alabama was up here and then everyone else was just beating each other up. So, I mean, but I don't really think that like, some people got banged up. Yeah. But like, I think that happens. Like no one's fresh. Like by the time you get to the end of the year, like nobody's fresh. So I think that's like it's a little bit overrated as far as like the toll it's taking on your body. It's more so just like the competition is tougher just because like there's no games you can take off. But I also think like in the Big 12, there's no games you can take off either because all those years randomly, like Baylor would all of a sudden be like an 11-win team, or Oklahoma State is randomly like an 11-win team. So, and they have a lot to worry about because they actually do have to finish undefeated because everyone thinks their conference is so weak. So,
well, Texas did take a couple games off last year and didn't lose. So this year maybe it'll be a little bit different. Not against Mississippi, but I mean, I hear you. It's like an NFL schedule. Like you can't take any days off. Like you got to be ready.
Yeah.
Like you know that the other coaches are going to be the best coaches in college football. You know the other players are going to be the best athletes in college football. So it's like I get that. So you mentioned or you talked about how you played under Elko a little bit. So obviously Elko was announced as our head coach. He's been our head coach for a few games now. What were your thoughts when you heard that he was going to be the next guy for us?
oh yeah, I thought that was a great hire. Just because of the leadership that he provides, and the progression. You know, I know a lot of fans are like kind of upset with us losing the Notre Dame game, which like, yeah, I was too. I thought Notre Dame was like very beatable. And that showed obviously next week they lost to Northern Illinois. So, but, one thing I would like fans to pay attention to is the progression of our football team.
Yep.
We will be 1,000 times better than we were in week 1 by the time we play Texas. So everyone's like, oh man, this team, like right now they're thinking Texas is going to hang 70 points on us and we're going to get our ass kicked and it ain't going to be close. Two things, it's a rivalry game. So the best team doesn't always win. Another thing is we're going to be 1,000 times better by the time we get to that game than we were in the first game. Like things are already happening, right? Like we don't even know who the quarterback is going to be. Is it going to be Connor or is it going to be Marcel? I think they're both great. I don't know which route we're going to go. I think they're both great. I would like this.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. We're not going to let you get away with that. If you had to pick, who's your starting quarterback? Assuming, let's say both are healthy, who's your starting quarterback going into Arkansas?
That's the thing. Like, I haven't seen a healthy Connor, so I don't know. I've seen healthy Marcel, like, and you know, a lot of people saw that Florida game, and it was like, okay, like he's definitely our guy. And I'm like, well, hold on, like Connor was a starter for a reason. Let him get healthy. You know, like just let him get healthy. Like, the fans are so quick to like jump the gun, and I think they're both great, right? Marcel showed a lot of stuff in the bowl game last year, where everybody thought he was going to be the future, and then he came in and he's still looking like to be that same guy. So I definitely think that he's capable of leading the team. I also think a healthy Connor Wakeman is capable of leading the team too. So you just have to. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish out.
I was like, you just have to see like, you know, and that stuff always works itself out, right? You'll know who the guy is. But I mean, right now the team looks like they're clicking. I think I would go with Marcel, but I would also want to see, you know, what Connor looks like at 100%. We haven't seen that. Like that Notre Dame game, everyone's like, what's wrong? And it's so crazy because like you can't come out and tell the fans what's wrong. You have to just like keep it close to your vest and just, you know.
Why? But why? That's what I don't understand is like NFL injury reports are like, boom, like practice report. Bam, you know exactly he's going to play.
Yeah.
Sure. College, it's like a rumor that like, oh, like maybe he broke his leg in the game. Like, we're not sure. And then like on Saturday morning, they're like, oh yeah, he's out for the season. You're like, why can't you just say that?
I actually don't know. I'm pretty sure it probably would have something to do with like sports betting.
Or HIPAA.
Yeah, or people ruin HIPAA every time. Like I always see players talking about, this is a HIPAA violation. Like Harold Perkins got hurt and they already came and he's like, this is a HIPAA violation. I was like, dude, like
you're like, bro, everybody's gonna find out regardless.
His mom was trying to get us to delete it from the internet.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy because it kind of feels like we just had the conversation about Kyle Allen and Kyler, and this is like full cycle. Maybe it's not the same toxicity situation, like there's an injury involved, but we're back in the same boat as we were before, where it's like uber talented Connor Wegman, Marcel Reed coming up, like speedy quarterback who maybe looks like he deserves it, looks like the team's behind him. So like, I don't know.
The person that makes me think about what's happening right now the most is Kellen Mond, and how much people were like shitting on him. And it's like, man, even at the time too, like, because I mean, he was young when like my senior, he was like a sophomore, right? So like, I'm anxious, I'm wanting to win because it's my last year, and he was obviously going through like growing pains in a couple of games. So I was kind of like just internally like kind of man, like, come on, Kellen, you know. But like he's young, right? So like it just works out like that sometimes. You know, you got a young quarterback, you got to let him make a mistake, but you know, the consistency that he showed, I think a lot of Aggie fans took it for granted, you know, having like knowing what you were going to get from your quarterback. Whereas now we're kind of situation where like it's like, what are we going to do? Who's going to play? All this stuff, you know. We got Arkansas this week. We should never lose to Arkansas like ever, you know. We should be like,
baby.
yeah.
We took on for granted, for sure.
I would say, actually, this is a great opportunity for you to just put out a public apology to Kellen Mond. I mean,
feel like
I'm sure Daylon could get him a clip if you wanted to.
I
Just
feel like
say your piece.
Kellen needs to come on the pod and talk it out with us, because we were spoiled with Johnny when we were in like high school coming into college, and then all of a sudden, you know, it felt like during that time we were a quarterback away from being like a real legit like elite NFL prospect quarterback away from getting over that hump that we were just trying to get over for so long. So yes, I was critical for sure. But like now I look back and I'm like, if we had Kellen right now, we'd probably be a top 10, top 5 team. So
yeah. It's funny you say that, because like now that I'm like not a part of the program, I'm a fan. Like I'm very critical. Like I'm watching the game, and I can't tell you how many times I've had something typed out and had to delete it. Like, oh, I can't say that. Like,
Jay Sternberger just hit send. He never.
Yeah, Jason's gonna fight with everyone on the timeline. Like he hits sends on it all the time. But like it's just, you just want to see your program win. I understand where the alumni are coming from now. It's like, man, you want to see the program win. And I know people like just that 2016 team, like that will forever be like, I mean, that was, I feel like if I had a chance to win a national championship, that was it. Cause like we were loaded and didn't win. So it's only won 8 games. Like we didn't even win the bowl game that we went to that year. Like it was just bad all around.
Texas Bowl, round 12.
Oh, yeah, that's just awful, right? Like you got all this talent and you're going to Houston for the damn bowl game. Like that's just terrible. That's terrible. Any way you look at it, like, man, we're supposed to win the national championship with this team. We were in the first ever top 4 like playoff thing, like, and
that 1 week was crazy.
Yeah, that was
and the Waters thing is like Kirk Herbstreit gets on the air and says like, at the time I was like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard someone say. He said, we won't be talking about A&M in a week. And I'm thinking, we're playing Mississippi State. What the hell is he talking about? Shit, we lost that Mississippi State game. I'm thinking like, damn, dude, like. For whatever reason, and I've talked to a couple of guys that when I was at the Packers with Elton Jenkins, who was the center for them, and I talked to him, I was like, damn, every time y'all play us, y'all decided to just like Nick Fitzgerald's going to be the Heisman Trophy winner. These no-name receivers are going to start just like catching 150 yards. Like, why the hell y'all play us so serious?
Yeah.
So.
Classic matchup there.
Yeah. Literally, those teams, the Mississippi's always knock us out of the playoffs. I have no idea why.
Yeah, no. Every single time we play Mississippi State, I feel like a urge that I feel like we would lose this year, and they're terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's one of those weird games, right? And even this weekend with Arkansas, like the fans are going to overreact. Like, guys, we can be 1,000 times better than Arkansas. It's going to be a 1-score game at the end. I don't know why. I don't know why it's close. I don't know why things happen. It's just going to be a close game. It's like, it's a rivalry game, right? Like, that's why all the people, I have so many friends that want to like bet me on like the Texas game. I'm like, dude, like I understand y'all just beat the hell out of Michigan. And that's like the most impressive win I've seen in college football this year. Because I don't even know how many people on that team has probably even ever been to Michigan. And then the fact that they go and show up and beat the hell out of the defending national champs, I mean, that's crazy. And everyone's like, oh, we can bet right now. And I'm like, dude, like it's a rivalry game. You know, all those years y'all used to lose to Oklahoma and you're talking about we got the better team. Like it's a rivalry game. And also like we're going to be way better by the time we get to that point. Yeah. I mean, way better. I think people
would
will
be
see that when we
scared.
play Missouri.
I would be scared coming into that game with a better record. I think whoever has the worst record loses that game.
Yeah, like it's gonna be. I mean, I can only
Yeah.
imagine like the crowd. Like,
Oh my god.
yeah, like that's gonna be. I mean, good luck. Like they probably need to start working on the cadence right now because they're not gonna be able to hear shit. So
It's one of those things where Bowling Green, like the whole broadcast was like, "Look, there's 102,000 Aggies here cheering their balls off. Like everyone's going nuts. It's so electric." And it's like Bowling Green 80-yard touchdown the first play out of halftime. And I'm like, what's the point, man? Like we at some point it's got to come through for us, right?
yeah, yeah, that game was actually closer than I thought. But I mean, growing pains under a new coach. Growing pains under a new coach. People don't think about that. Like there are going to be some growing pains, but like let the players catch their footing. I mean, like playing like the number 17, the first game of the year under a new coach at home. Like,
That's a bad idea.
yeah, there's a lot of shit going on with that. Like, the players kind of, you know what your coach wants you to do, but you never know kind of how your coach what your coach wants you to do and like what they would accept in practice, but you don't know what they would accept in a game. And like there's like certain times where like players might want to like they call it taking a risk, but it's not taking a risk because you understand like how the game's been pacing out.
Yeah.
So it's gonna like pan out for you. Just like me, right? Like the game's been going along and they've been kind of going on the same cadence. And every first down, they go on one, they run the ball. I might want to jump the snap on, get us a big play. And my first year, if I jumped off sides, Coach Summer would be like, all right, hey, well, I like it. Take your chance. My second year, if I jumped off sides, my coach would take me out and probably not put me back in the game. So, I'm kind of missing, that leeway of like wanting to make an explosive play. It's kind of just like in the back of my head. So that's stuff that like I don't think a lot of people think about that like actually goes on. So there might have been a couple of times where like players maybe wanted to make a big play, but they just kind of like didn't really understand if they had the leeway to do something because there are certain points in the game where you have to be a gamer. Like you can't just do it by the book. Like you have to just be a gamer and like understand how the game is pacing and like make a player's play.
Love that. You definitely made a lot of plays, enough plays that you got drafted. Same year as Jay Sternberger.
Yeah.
What was the process like of getting drafted?
Process was cool. I had a really good pre-draft process actually. Like I went to the East-West Shrine game, and I was kind of mad because I felt like I should have been in like the Seniors Bowl initially, but once they told me that like if you ball out, you can go to the Seniors Bowl, and I was like, all right, well, I balled out and I went to the Seniors Bowl, and I balled out to the Seniors Bowl. So that pre-draft process went really good for me. I'm more of a like play the game type of guy. I'm not like big on like the drills and all that stuff. I'm a football player. I want to get out there and like actually play and put my hands on people and do it that way. But the pre-draft process was pretty cool. I remember FaceTiming Kiki because we thought that all those defensive tackles they were hyping up were going to be drafted in the first round, which they did. It was like six defensive tackles drafted in the first round. So I'm like, cool, okay. I'm definitely going like second or third round, like I'm, or third or fourth round at least. So the third round goes, the fourth round goes. I call Kiki. I'm like, man, this is bullshit. He's like, man, I know. And the crazy thing is like I'm sitting in the living room with my grandma and my family, because we're watching the draft, just waiting. And my grandma goes, damn, Daylon, you gonna get drafted? We tired of waiting. And I'm sitting over there looking at her like, shit, I'm tired of waiting too. So, but I kind of did have a feeling because like at the East-West Shrine game, the Ravens actually were the people running it for the team I was on, and they kind of told me they were like after the first practice, like I had a crazy practice, and then they brought in like their guy and was like, hey, we want to make him do all these like tests like on the computer and stuff like that, just like seeing like where he is with things. And they kind of told me to me like, hey, we're gonna make you a Raven, and I was like, okay, well, hey, sooner rather than later, hopefully. And it was like I saw that like the Ravens had like a couple of picks coming up, and I was like, okay, like I'm probably gonna go here, and sure enough, I did. So
Let's go.
Hell yeah.
Got to live your dream, bro. That's an
sick.
awesome moment.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what was like? Were you guys just truly just watching you're watching ESPN, just leave it on, and like you're just hanging out in the living room, or like did you do anything to kill the time, or?
Yeah, I mean, the first day of the draft, the first round, I had a feeling I wasn't going to go first round, so
Right.
just kind of just like putting it on, seeing who all went, and once I saw those defensive tackles, I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like, I'm probably going to go in the second round. That's what I thought because I had a really good meeting with the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
They took Tristan Hill. I'm like, that's crazy. I'm better than him, but whatever. So then the third round came on. I was like, damn, I didn't go in the second or third, so I was kind of frustrated. Okay, I'm going to the fourth round. Cool. I went to that was the night that Avengers Endgame it came out. So I went to the movies, watched it, took my mind off of it, cried when Tony Stark died. But maybe I was really crying because I didn't get drafted. I don't know. Like,
no, it was Tony Stark for sure, bro.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Daylon, you didn't get drafted either, so if it makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Well, so you did get drafted by the Ravens. You guys had a sick first year. They go 14-0. You won your division. Lamar Jackson went absolutely nuts and won his first
Crazy.
MVP that year. Yeah, so it sucks. I know you got injured, but that had to be a super cool experience. What was that like?
Yeah, it was crazy. I thought I was gonna win a Super Bowl my rookie year. I was like, man, this is gonna be nuts. Like all this extra money because like you get more money. Like first round you get like 20,000. Second round you get like 50, 60, and then like if you win the Super Bowl you get 100. So like pretty much like 200 grand throughout the playoffs. And I'm thinking, okay, like I'm gonna have a really nice vacation. I'm gonna have extra 200 grand. Oh, one second. I'm gonna have extra 200 grand. It's gonna be nice. And Derrick Henry decided that he was gonna turn into beast mode and end our playoff run. And I remember, I remember coming home and sitting on the couch and looking at my wife like, damn, like the season's over. Like it just like in college, when it's gonna end for the most part, but like in the NFL, it's just like, oh, yep, you're done. So we're just sitting on the couch like, damn, like it's a sick feeling. Like you just like don't win a Super Bowl, you lose $200,000. You don't lose it, but you don't. You thought you were gonna have it, and now it's like, well, maybe you don't take that vacation trip. Maybe you just go to Galveston or something like that.
Your wife had the $200K vacation plan. She was like, "All right, I'm ready. Let's go."
Yeah, like we're gonna go do all these things, and it's like, maybe we don't go do all these things.
That's how I feel as a Panthers fan after week 1, and I lose 200,000 gambling that first week. So,
oh man, on the Panther.
I'm just joking.
Oh, okay. Whoa. That's tough. Gambling on the Panthers, man.
Well, we're about to lose 200,000 on our AgKnocks parlay that keeps on losing every week. So we're on pace right now.
Got another 100 weeks and we're ready.
So what was it like going up against Lamar Jackson in practice every day?
We actually talked a lot about that bowl game, the Music City Bowl, and which is funny because that was like his coming out party. So we talked about it, and he was like, "Man, if I knew what I knew now, like I would have, it would have been even worse." And I'm just like, dude, like whatever. But it's cool to see that, like, when that game ended, like I remember looking at Miles saying, "Man, this guy might be able to win the Heisman next year," like because he was outrunning Miles, and Miles was like, "That's crazy." Like if you're outrunning Miles, like, oh my god, like you're probably going to be really good if you can figure out how to pass, and he did. That next year he was electric. And it's so funny he went like in the 31st pick. Like I have no idea how you watch players like that and then decide that like everyone's gonna like pass on them. But it probably wouldn't happen today, how it did like back then, because now people are like actually trying to get a Lamar Jackson instead of trying to get like your prototypical like Joe Burrow or something like that. So but yeah, we talked a lot. It's like just playing with him. And practice, like there's only 3 people that I've ever played with that I've seen in practice where I'm like, oh my god, this is like the craziest shit I've ever seen. Lamar is one, Miles is one, and the other one is Speedy Noel. I've seen Speedy do the craziest, like, oh my god, like it was like so gross. Like some of the things he would do in practice, like juke moves, one-handed catches, like I really wish it would have worked out for him.
Yeah, what happened? Like
I actually don't even know what happened with that situation. I just know that like he ended up he was going to get kicked off the team because he like did something and he kind of just committed, just went to the draft or whatever. And he still had a
Didn't have
chance.
his priorities right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds like he was just a kid. He just wasn't fully ready to be like in that spotlight and ready to go like that quite yet.
Yeah. I can't even say really when it was. I mean, yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, that's another
Is it-
guy we had on 2016 team. It's just like, dude.
Super.
Yeah, like that's why it's so crazy. We won 8 games. Like, man, we have like the cream of like the craziest roster ever, and like 8 games.
Did
Wow.
you ever see Lamar eat his pregame bowl of shrimp Alfredo or anything
Oh
like that?
yeah, no, I don't even think I was there that long before you got that routine. Like I was only there for like 2 years, so like
His
Otaro.
stomach issues are staying around, bro. He stays sick. I'm like, dude, you gotta chill.
Yeah, he does get sick a lot, especially like when that COVID, like he got like he missed like so many games during that era, like the COVID era. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wild era. So now you are with the Memphis Showboats. You guys had a
Yeah.
tough season last year.
Very
What's the
tough.
mindset going in? What's the mindset going into next season with a proven coach like Ken Weisenhunt?
The mindset going in is to win. That's always the mindset. It's just kind of figuring out. Like we play too many politics, man. Like you know, we we go through like 3 quarterbacks every year, and you know so here's the thing, right? The D line will be working out at the other end of the field, right? And the quarterbacks will be going through 7-on-7, and we're visibly looking at. I remember talking to this with my teammate John Atkins. We're looking at the quarterbacks, and I'm like, oh, that's our starting quarterback. That guy will end up being 3rd on the depth chart. I have no idea why, like, and, then the season will go on. This quarterback will lose. That quarterback will lose. This quarterback will get a chance. And then everyone's like, oh my God, why weren't we starting him the whole time? Well, why do we have to lose 7 games before we figure that shit out? Like, it's just so frustrating. And then that guy ends up being like our quarterback for the rest of the year, and then we end up like winning. So it's like, dude, like I've seen this play out too many times. So hopefully this next coach, that doesn't happen, and we just pick the right guy and just like stick with him. But I guess like even the Stallions kind of had that issue because they had like Matt Corral starting, and then the other guy comes in and it's like which we were his coming out party. He like threw for like 400 and ran for like 100. I'm like, oh shit, that's insane. But
Was that the quarterback that was at Nebraska for like 6 years?
yeah,
Oh, Martinez?
yeah, like it's funny that like I was like, man, I've heard of this guy before. I don't know if I like played with him on like the game or something.
You probably did. He was probably on NCAA 2010 or whatever it was.
I really think he was like the guy like either after Russ or before Russ. It has to be like before.
It was after for sure.
After, yeah, it has to be. I think
it was Nebraska. I don't
yeah,
know.
it was
played in a couple places.
Yeah, like it was. Or did Russ go to Russ went to Nebraska, right?
Russ was in
went to Wisconsin. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it was like.
But
I know I've seen him. Yeah, I know I've seen him.
No, because we talked to Sternberger about this, and we actually got it wrong when we were talking on the pod because there were 2 Martinez's, and I think he was the little brother, and we were talking about the big brother, but they were both for like 8 or 10 years combined.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense because I'm like, man, I know this guy's like familiar, like because on the game he was like crazy, like he was crazy on the game. Like I do remember that. So okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense that he has a brother.
I think the older brother's Taylor Martinez. I think that's the one. I don't know the younger brother's name, but yeah, Taylor Martinez went crazy. That one, like for 1 year, was nuts.
Yeah, that has to be the year that I'm thinking because like I just know that like the name sounded so familiar and like there was a dual threat QB. But that's funny that he actually had a brother. Yeah, it's funny.
No, it was we didn't even realize till after. But all right, let's go, Billy. You got rapid fire.
Yeah. We're gonna do a quick rapid fire segment. So Daylon, it doesn't have to be 1-word answers, but it's got to be the first thing that comes to your mind, whatever you think. Just let it rip. We'll do a list of like 10 or so questions. I'm gonna do a quick ad read real quick, and then we'll jump in.
All right.
You already did the
all right,
ad
one
read.
sec.
Just say Late and Travel.
Okay, never mind. Shout out to Layden Travel for sponsoring this. We appreciate y'all. Book your vacations with Layden Travel. All right, rapid fire. You ready?
Yep.
All right, you got to pick San Diego, Memphis, or College Station.
College Station.
Most hated rival.
LSU.
Vince Wilfork or Fletcher Cox.
Vince Wilfork.
Favorite place to eat in College Station.
What's the pizza place?
Gumby's.
Antonio's is RIP.
Well, no, not Antonio's. It's the one that like had like the special crust.
Oh, it's got to be Hungry Howie's, right?
Hungry Howie's. Yeah, Hungry Howie's has the best pizza.
Let's go. Love that. Drake or Kendrick?
Drake.
Let's go. I knew you were my dog. All right. Current pregame hype song.
Two Birds, One Stone by Drake.
Let's go. Right. He's back at it. Canes or Lanes?
Canes for sure. Like it has to be Canes. Like there's no chance it is Lanes. Yeah.
That's facts, sadly, but it's just so much better. Your funniest teammate?
Otaro Alaka.
Reed or Wegman?
I mean, we're on a winning streak. I'll go with Reed.
Let's go. Yell leaders or cheerleaders?
Yell leaders for sure.
Best player you played with?
Miles Garrett.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone or Jimbo?
I like Elko right now.
Okay, last one. Kyler or Lamar?
Lamar. Yeah.
Damn. Love that. All right, bro. Congrats. You crushed that. That was dope. And definitely, I knew you were a Drake stan with us. Me and AgKnocks are out there, bro. We've been battling hard in the streets, but it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Like one guy's losing the rap beef, so he calls another one a pedophile. I'm like, what? Like, come on,
Exactly.
man. That makes no sense.
Hey,
Like,
no claims, bro. Everyone's just like, oh, of course he was a pet. Okay.
yeah, like what? Like, come on, bro. You lost. Like, just give it up. It's okay. And like Kendrick is not even like rebuttaling like the raps. Like he's just like I don't know. Like it's just like random like insults. It's like, well, are you gonna rebuttal any of my like stuff? Because like Drake and everyone got mad like at the Heart Part 6. It's like, oh yeah, why would he say he's not a pedophile? Well, what if he didn't say anything? Then everyone's gonna be like, why is he responding? It's like he had to respond. He did. I thought it was a good response. But like, Kendrick just that the beat of that song saved him. Cause like I'm convinced no one even cares about the lyrics. It's the beat that everyone just like is in love with.
The beat is fire. I won't lie.
It's a good beat for sure.
It's a great beat, and like I think part of the issue is like you're right. Like a rap beef is like you address the claims and then you go on. But like Kendrick just was like he recorded all 5 of those diss tracks in like one session, and was like, all right, like I'll release them whenever, and like
and no one tries to like out rap Drake. They try to like get some dirt on him and just say it, and then everyone's like goes crazy because it's Drake, right? Like, does anyone really care that he had a kid? No, but it's Drake. So like, oh my God, Drake has a kid. Like it's a big deal, right? Like if you say that about Kendrick, like, oh, Kendrick, what about your kid you're hiding? Who cares you got a kid you're hiding? What,
The problem is Kendrick has all the little internet minions and like the propaganda that gets spread online. And everyone's like, oh, did you see this lyric and that and all this stuff? He's a genius. And it's like, all right, well, like settle down a little.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, they're like, the reaction between calling Drake a pedophile and then Drake calling Kendrick a woman beater, like they're just ignoring that. Like, oh, he's not a woman beater, but Drake's definitely a pedophile. Like, that makes no sense.
Only one of those had like actual evidence too, where like there was like an incident with Kendrick Lamar and his wife, and it's like, oh, I mean, like Drake like hugged that girl on stage one time who was 17. It's like, come on, bro, like that's not a pedophile. Like,
and that's what Drake said is right. Like, if Drake is a pedophile, like he is definitely getting arrested. Like, look at what just happened to Diddy. Like, he's.
I'm surprised. Diddy had to take the fall for Drake. Maybe that was the result of the whole.
Yeah, that whole situation is crazy, and everyone online is like, "Oh man, they're gonna release the tapes." I'm like, guys, they're just gonna transfer Diddy's power to somebody else and keep blackmailing people, and it's just we'll never actually see who's like running the show. Which I'm always interested in that stuff. Like I even Googled. I'm like, man, who is the actual strongest or the most powerful person in the world? Like, who is that person? And like, he's just pulling strings in the dark and just got all this power.
He's not on Google. You probably never heard of him. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's like it feels like. Have you guys ever seen Prison Break?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the company. Like it feels like the company is like that. That has to be a real thing. Like that's definitely happening, and it's just like it is what it is.
Hey, we need a whole separate podcast. We'll do conspiracies with Daylon Mack. That'll be fine.
Hey, yeah, I'm down. I'm down for some conspiracies for sure. I'm definitely down for some conspiracies. I'm a big conspiracy theorist.
Next time you come back, we'll circle the conspiracies. But last thing we're going to say, you mentioned you're going to come out for the Texas game. We're hosting a tailgate. We're inviting all the guests on.
Okay.
If you want to stop by, you're more than welcome to come to the AgKnocks tailgate.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I'll definitely swing by then. Yeah.
Sweet. And we're excited to go to that game. It's going to be absolutely electric. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Wait, hold on.
Or did I miss something?
Quick scoring prediction.
Oh, yeah.
Texas game.
Oh, 31-28, Texas A&M.
Let's go.
Yeah, they get a game-winning field goal. Kind of get them back how they got us with field goal. Like we'll get them with a field goal this time.
Let's go. Love that.
Hell yeah.
I do think it'll be a close game though, for sure. Like they're not going to run away with it. That's absolutely insane.
Not. That would be our personal hell.
If they actually do hang 70 on us and we lose, like I would actually be. But we it's so funny that people think we're going to get blown out. Like we always, like our issue is we play down to our opponents, but we always play up to our opponents. So I don't know why they think we're just going to get trounced. Like we do actually do that. Like if we're playing a top team, it's going to be a close game. We've proved that over the years. Like Clemson, the Alabama games are always close. Like we've proven that like you're just not going to, run away with us. The issue is when we go play Bowling Green, it's 26-20. And then the fans are like, what the hell? Like, what's happening?
The whole Elko brand is like, we should be up for every game. So, like, let's get it done. And we're all hoping that we're going to see improvement as we go along here. We got to start with Arkansas. If we beat Arkansas, we go into the Missouri game. That's a huge game, like top 10 matchup at home. So,
why is it at 11 o'clock?
They did that before the season started.
Bullshit.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That actually benefits us because, man, have you seen some of these teams at 11 o'clock game? Like, they are sleepwalking. Like, they're not awake. So that would be really good. We used to always say, like, if you don't wake up for the 11 o'clock game, it will be 21-0 before you decide to open your eyes. And so I think that benefits us. Like, 11 o'clock game, we can get on them quick. Yeah. Our defense is going to get better every week because we have Coach Elko. Like, that's his bread and butter improvement. That's what he harps on. So I think we'll be a very stellar team. I think we'll have a chance to get into the 12-man, at least play for a chance to get into the 12-man by the end of the year.
I would love that. And the core guys are not going to be hungover that Saturday morning. So all right. Well, hey, Daylon, this was awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. We look forward to seeing you at the tailgate, and hopefully we can have you back on the show soon.
Yeah. I'd love to come back. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Hang on. We're going to just stop the recording.